We start on the diamond. Good morning to our MLB panel. DraftKings contributors Kenny Ducey and RotoWire's Erik Halterman. Price check time, boys. So who are your favorite plays in the following price departments on tonight's 8-game slate? So Kenny, start me with your pitcher at $8,000 or higher, please.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Walker Buehler, and a very good morning to you, Emerson. Walker Buehler at 10K. You could go with Yu Darvish. You could go with Garrett Cole. They have decent matchups. I don't love Garrett Cole's matchup here. I'm going to go with Buehler here, save a little bit of money at 10K because he's averaging around 9 strikeouts over his last 4 starts. But the biggest thing here is his opponent, the Diamondbacks. The Diamondbacks, pretty much every starter on offense is on the injured list. You got Asdrubal Cabrera, Ketel Marte, Cole Calhoun, Carson Kelly, and Christian Walker. Cabrera, the latest to go down. This team has just really struggled to score runs without those guys. And Buehler should absolutely dominate tonight. They're right around the top 10 in strikeout rate over the past 2 weeks as well. So I think that the strikeouts should come in bunches. And I just don't know how the Diamondbacks score many runs here with none of their regulars starting.
Okay, Erik, who are you paying up for here in the pitching department?
Yeah, that top trio that Kenny mentioned is excellent, but I'm going to give a name from the second tier. My favorite guy is actually Yusei Kikuchi, who's coming off 11 strikeouts against the Dodgers and gets to face the Tigers, but he is not quite 8,000, and I know how to follow instructions. So I'm going to talk about Adbert Alzolay, who is at 8,100, a little more expensive. He's a guy I liked heading into the year because he struck out the world last year, but also walked a ton of guys, nearly 15% walk rate. Figured if he could just get the walks down, he'd be a very good starter, and that's exactly what he's done. His strikeout rate is still very high at 29.3%. He slashed the walks all the way down to 5.7%. By strikeout rate minus walk rate, among pitchers who've thrown at least 30 innings, he ranks 17th, one spot behind Clayton Kershaw, who you may have heard of. So he's pitching like a top-tier pitcher, and he's got a mediocre offense in the Nationals, so I'd be all over him if I didn't have the budget for those top few guys.
All right, E-Man, talk to me about a hitter over 5K.
Yeah, we're going to go with Jose Abreu at 5,400. He was involved in a very scary collision with Hunter Dozier on Friday, but he was right back in the lineup Saturday, hit a homer that day, had 2 hits in both of the weekend games, so apparently he's completely fine. On the season, his average is down to 255. Given where he is in his career, we should expect something of a fall off from his MVP form last season, but he's still quite good. His expected slugging of 525 is excellent, a little bit better than his actual slugging of 482. He's walking more than ever, but also striking out more than ever. But on the whole, he's still a very good hitter, and he'll get the platoon advantage against J.A. Happ, who has an ERA in the low 4s, but the peripherals look like a guy whose ERA should be in the low to mid 5s. He doesn't walk guys, but that's about all he does right. He's striking out less than 15% of opposing batters, and he's not keeping the ball on the ground. And I think when you give up a lot of contact and contact in the air, guys like Jose Abreu are going to punish you for it.
Okay, Kenny, what about you, dude? What's wrong?
I was going to say Jose Abreu. at 5,400 because J.A. Happ is an auto fade. And J.A. Happ, really, I'm glad that you pronounced his name J.A., Erik, because it's the incorrect way, but it's actually the correct way. Because you don't get to say your name's J Happ when it's J.A. Happ. This guy has given up boatloads of hard contact. The main reason I like Jose Abreu against J.A. Happ is, one, he's heating up. He's got a 379 ISO against lefties this year. That's absolutely insane. 276 average with 3 homers and a triple. And he's had 17 fantasy points in 4 of his last 6 games. Erik did mention that he got in a collision, but I think he's a safe bet here just because he mashes lefties. This is a very mashable lefty. If you want to pivot off of Jose Abreu and still pay all that money and get the good splits advantage, you could go with Tim Anderson here at $5,300. No problems with going with Tim Anderson, but I am here to certify that Jose Abreu is a very, very good pick tonight. I think he should go deep. And again, this guy's just been absolutely on fire, now facing a very hittable pitcher. I think it's a recipe for success here.
All right, dude. Kenny, hitter in the 4 to 5K range.
I actually have a feeling that I might steal Erik's here too, so I'm glad I'm going first because we've had the same pick in this guy before. It's Luke Voit at $5,000. Look, I know that he hasn't had a good game yet since coming off of the injured list, but he had 3 homers in his rehab stint. He had a 5-game rehab stint. He went deep 3 times in AAA. He has yet to go deep here, but he's hitting second most likely against Jordan Lyles. Jordan Lyles is giving up hard contact. 1 out of every 2 balls coming off the bat into play off Jordan Lyles is coming at 95 or more miles an hour. he's got just a 20.9% strikeout rate. So he doesn't strike many guys out. He actually really struggles with walks, and he struggles with hard contact. This is a picture-perfect matchup for Luke Voit, coming off a 12 fantasy point day with 2 hits and 2 batted in as well, perhaps starting to see the ball now, and it's just only a matter of time before this guy explodes at the plate. Given the fact that I think the Yankees score a lot of runs here off of Lyles, they should win this game pretty handily. I think that you want to take the guy hitting second that hits for power and is just ready to break out here, who's seeing the ball pretty well. So I like Luke Voit at 5,000.
Eric, did Kenny copy your homework?
He did not steal my guy here, although I do like Voit. I actually found this category to be much tougher than normal. I think a lot of guys in this range are just facing tough pitchers or have been cold lately. But a guy I like actually sticking in the same White Sox Twins game is Nelson Cruz at 4,900. His numbers are a little bit down in his age 40 season. He had a WRC plus above 160 the last 2 seasons. It's down to 137 this year, but most of the world, including me, would be very happy to produce that kind of number. His strikeout rate is lowest it's been in over a decade, although he's also not walking like he used to. But his hard hit rate is right where it's supposed to be. So I'm not too worried about Cruz. 3 shy of the league lead with 9 homers, and he'll get the platoon advantage against Dallas Keuchel, who I think is like running an experiment to figure out how few batters you can strike out and still be a major league pitcher. He's down to 10%, where this is like not even close to modern baseball levels, well below half of the league average strikeout rate. He does still get a lot of grounders. It doesn't walk a ton of guys, but you just can't be an intimidating pitcher if you're striking out only 10% of opponents. So all that contact is going to lead to some damage, and Cruz is the kind of guy who should do that damage.
Kenny, you are a man of the people. So what I want you to do now is help everyone save some money. How about a value bat?
Sure thing. I'm going to go with Miguel Cabrera at $2,500 against Yusei Kikuchi, because I don't believe in Kikuchi like Eric does. Hitters from the right side especially are seeing a 7% boost in WOBA. This guy has just been a very middling starter. I think that sometimes he faces teams that don't pitch well or don't hit well against lefties, which is what you have here in the Tigers. So he could have a good start. But this specific matchup with Miguel Cabrera, this is not the same situation that we were seeing a month ago where Miguel Cabrera couldn't get a hit to save his life. He has 9 hits in his last 7 games, a lot of multi-hit games in there, 5 RBIs, 5 walks in that span. He's going to hit 3rd or 4th in this lineup, and he's 15% better WOBA against lefties. I think that this is a really good matchup. It's a guy that I don't think is going to be on many people's radars, just given the fact that Kikuchi has had some recent success. The Tigers as a whole are not an appealing lineup to go after. But at this price, for a guy that's this experienced, this good of a hitter, who's seen the ball now very well and racking up those hits, I think this is a very cheap way to get 6 or 7 points, Emerson. So I really like playing Miguel Cabrera tonight.
Okay, Eric, what do you got?
Yeah, I'm going to go with someone young enough to be Cabrera's son, and that's I guess that's a large portion of the league, but it's especially Jared Kelenic, who's at 3,000 now. I talked him up on Friday when he was still priced at the minimum, and I said this is definitely not a $2,000 player, and he rewarded everybody who had faith in him with 3 hits and a homer. He's had a few other hitless games. I believe all of his other games are hitless. But given his prospect pedigree, he's still way underpriced at 3,000. This is the kind of guy who should, I think, by the end of the year, settle in as a mid 4,000s level player, given that he was the 4th overall prospect by both Fangraphs and MLB Pipeline. Just universal consensus that this guy's going to hit for contact and power, and he should do a fair bit of that right away. He'll get the platoon advantage against Casey Mize, who's got an ERA in the low 4s, but I think most of the estimators have it in the high 4s or even higher. Gets a lot of ground balls, but not a crazy amount, and he doesn't really strike anybody out. So just allowing far too much contact, and Kelenic, I think, should take advantage of that here.
Eric, let's go over to the DK Sportsbook real quick before you take off. What is your favorite MLB bet tonight?
Going to stick in that same game and talk up Yusei Kikuchi. Apparently that's the big battle of the morning. I like Mariners minus 175 over the Tigers, or you can even spot the Tigers a 1.5, and then the line goes to plus 130. The Mariners have a better offense than the Tigers because everybody has a better offense than the Tigers. Tigers are last in the league by WRC plus. Mariners only 23rd, but it's hard to understate how bad the Tigers have been for most of the season at the plate. Kikuchi just struck out 11 Dodgers, and now he's facing one of the teams that strikes out the most in the league. His ERA is only 4.30, but some of the estimators have it a full run better than that. He's solidly above average in all three of strikeout rate, walk rate, and ground ball rate. He's been trending in that direction in both of, between 2019 and 2020 and 2020 and this year. But he's really taken the next step this season and looks like, I think, a very solid all-around pitcher. Whereas Casey Mize, we just talked about, just is not looking like anything more than a back-end starter yet. He's got potential, just not striking out nearly enough guys. So I think that gap between the pitchers is big enough to justify the Mariners here.
Kenny, favorite bet, dude?
Yeah, I'm going to stick with the veterans here, guys who have pitched a lot of good games and had a lot of good games in their careers, and that's Madison Bumgarner here against the Dodgers. I like the under in this game. Dodgers Diamondbacks under 7. When you look at the Dodgers, they're 22nd in WRC plus against lefties. A great matchup to always exploit. We've seen terrible left-handed pitching. I'm talking Marco Gonzalez bad. Shut down the Los Angeles Dodgers from the left side. Bumgarner as well, candidate for a little bit of positive aggression with that 3.44 expected ERA. A lesson to all you folks out there to look at Baseball Savant all season long, not just in the first month, and make up your mind on a guy. And we laid out how bad earlier the Diamondbacks have it with 5 guys injured. Buehler, I think, shoves in this game. Not a lot of runs going on right now. Good old-fashioned pitcher's duel that Madison Bumgarner's once again wrapped up in. Love the under 7 here.